we like to have impact investment, and that's why we have Nuno today with us. So Nuno, would you like to turn on your camera and join us?
Yeah.
Yes, you're coming. Perfect.
I was looking for the buttons.
I mean, we knew that like investment is not easy anyways, like in most of the venture capital or startups and also, but when you talk about impact, it is a little bit hard. But it seems that GoParity is doing quite well. So I'm leaving the stage to you, and really happy to listen what you are going to say, and maybe we will include more people on impact investment.
Thank you. That's perfect, Ken, and also thank you, Hackquarters, for the invitation. I was actually listening to Orion and thinking, wow, he mentions it so many times. I'm sure there's also room for collaboration with WWF. So I'm gonna share my screen. Yeah. No. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, perfect. We can see it.
Okay. Perfect. So I'm Nuno. I'm one of the co-founders of GoParity. GoParity is what we call an impact finance app for everyday life. So what we do basically is we allow people and companies to lend money to sustainable projects or to companies that are looking for funding for sustainability projects. Just to give a quick context, we all know that we are in a world where there's huge inequality in what comes to wealth distribution, and it's actually not getting any better. Both crisis and financial illiteracy widen this inequality gap even more. At the same time, we have created an economy that is actually threatening both the planet and our existence on the planet. So we have the loss of biodiversity, climate change, water pollution, resource depletion, even war is now again on our daily lives. The United Nations estimate that we need to invest $2.5 trillion per year in order to achieve their 17 Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, which is a huge challenge, but there's also some good news. We know that there's more than $9 trillion in European households' bank accounts, and that the younger the generation, the more they are willing to invest for impact. So I'm doing what we call putting their money where their mouth is. This is how we started GoParity, and this is why we started GoParity actually. So as an individual with GoParity, you can lend directly to impactful projects. You get your own account with your own IBAN number, but you can also create automatic investment strategies to have the platform invest according to your preferences for you, and even create savings schemes. So you can choose how you want to save. Do you want to save manually and just top up every now and then, or create roundups from every transaction in one of your bank accounts, or create, for example, a regular direct debit that will collect 100 euros from your bank account every week and invest it in a diversified manner to mitigate risk according to your preferences. We also work with companies, of course, because we are actually the connection between both. So for companies, what GoParity means is, on one hand, the opportunity to have an alternative source of funding that is flexible, usually also fast, but also engaging communities. We have more and more companies that are fundraising with GoParity because they want to tap into our community of sustainability-minded investors. But as a company, you can also use GoParity in other manners. One of them being the voluntary compensation of carbon emissions, but also as a talent retention tool. For example, your performance reward from your company or your birthday gift from your company can be an impact investment voucher with GoParity, so that the person can choose where they will allocate, and you're actually offering savings and impact. We have a very straightforward business model. So basically, we allow any person or company to lend money to sustainable project developers. We call them promoters. It's basically companies that need funding for their sustainability projects. All the loans, anyone, you can lend from €5 to 25,000 euros per project, and the terms are fixed at the beginning. So you already know what the maturity of the loan is and what the interest rate is. And then you get paid back part of the principal and interest every month. Usually it's monthly, but we also offer some flexibility on that side. On top of that, there's also impact. So apart from the financial return of your investment, you also always get to know what is the impact that you're creating with your investment. And I'll share some examples more ahead. We split our our project types in 5. We have water efficiency and the blue economy, which is everything related to the ocean economy. We have business in transition, which is projects related to the improvement of any company's environmental performance, for example, circular economy or green mobility, electric mobility. And the green use of land, which relates more to the way we produce food and regenerative and biological agriculture, but also reforestation and the protection of biodiversity. And then there's sustainable energy, where we include energy efficiency and renewable energy, and social economy, where we have non-profits, but also social entrepreneurship. In terms of metrics, we now have more than 10,000 active investors. We have 25,000 users registered in our platform. We have funded actually more than 200 projects already. We have invested more than 17 million euros via our platform, and we have already paid back more than 5 million euros to the investors. We have investors from 65 different nationalities. This is how our portfolio is split. So you can see almost 40% of it is sustainable energy. We have a lot of solar power, of course. And then there's water and the social economy quite tight. Business in transition is also significant. And then the green use of land is the hardest one. This is probably because, not probably, this is, we believe, because projects like reforestation or the protection of biodiversity are much more difficult to find a business model for. We have funded projects in 16 countries all over the world. We have offices in Lisbon, Barcelona, and Canada, where we are opening before the end of the year, or starting activity. We already opened last year. But we have funded projects in Portugal, Spain, Ireland, the UK, the Netherlands, Italy, Lithuania, Sweden, Brazil, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Uganda, and Kenya. And we hope to open in Mexico, maybe still this year. Now, one of the things that is, of course, more important for us is the impact that our projects make. And as a user, you can always see what impact you're having. And this goes in terms of CO2 avoided, of clean energy generated or saved, the area you're helping protect, the number of people you're impacting, and the number of jobs you helped create. And these indicators that you have here are our overall indicators. So this slide is old, it should be here. And to wrap up, I thought I'd give you some examples of projects that we have funded, which I think is the best way to illustrate what we do. So the first project is a project in a dairy cooperative in Uganda, where we funded the transition from energy generators to solar power with batteries. So it's an off-grid installation, and they, instead of using a noisy and pollutant means of generating electricity, like a generator, they now have their solar panels and they use the generator only as a backup. Oceano Fresco is in Portugal. They're the first open sea offshore clam farm in the world. They have raised already more than 1 million with GoParity, and they're very innovative, and it's the most sustainable way to produce shellfish. Ecuadorian cocoa farming. It's a project through a partner that we work in the UK, and we provide financing to Ecuadorian cooperatives or family-owned companies that are producing cocoa. And Decarbonizing Colombia is a project where we are financing solar power for self-consumption in Colombia. This is done by a Swedish company, and it's also already achieved more than 1 million euros funded with GoParity. To finish up the story of Uganda, because sometimes the biggest impacts are the ones you're not counting on or expecting to measure. So this is an image of the dairy cooperative in Uganda, and you can see they have installed the solar panels, and they are fenced, and they're also illuminated at night. So at night, this is what that place looks like. What happened next is the most curious part. It is that there's no public lighting in this part of rural Uganda. So when we funded the project, we thought it's going to be cleaner air, more energy independence, more stable energy for their production and their fridge, of course, because dairies need the fridges to be working. But then the intangible impact became probably the most relevant story. That is, since there is no public lighting in this area, this PV station, this solar power station, became also the place where kids play after it's dark, and where street vendors started to sell at night. So vendors that are usually at risk of being ran over by cars or trucks, or being robbed, or who knows what might happen at night in a rural area without light, they can now safely sell their products close to our power station. So this was just to share an example of how intangible impact is also something very, very, very relevant, and it's very often very hard to tell and to identify. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you, Nuno.